Hello, I'm Bill Kutik, HR technology columnist for 25 years for Human Resource Executive magazine. With me today is Jason Averbook, whom you may know as one of the best presenters in HCM and co-founder of that cutting-edge consultancy, Knowledge Infusion, and now Chief Innovation Officer for Appirio, a partner of Cornerstone. Jason has just published his first book. The ink is probably dripping on my fingers right now, HR From Now to Next. And while I know, Jason, that it's, and thank you for the inscription, by the way.
You're welcome.
I know that it's totally impossible to cram a whole book into 5 minutes, but I was hoping you would give us some highlights of your 3 major themes from the book, and one is consumerization, other workplace, not workforce 2020, and the third, continuous beta.
Definitely. So, thank you for having me, first of all. As you look at the 3 trends that we talk about, or that I talk about, in the book most frequently, as you said, consumerization is the first one. And consumerization really ties back to this concept that the world has changed forever. People outside of the business world have better technology than we do in the business world. And the apps that they use every day are simple, real-time, and on demand. And most people, if you said, hey, what happens internally in my business? It's not simple, real-time, and on demand. So that concept of how consumers are treated and how consumers leverage technology today to find a restaurant, to buy anything on Amazon.com, to book an airline ticket, all of that has changed the way we need to think about how to deliver a workforce experience. Because if our workforce experience is not at least somewhat like that, employees are going to say, this is not the place for me. They treat our customers better than they treat their employees. So consumerization, how do you actually think like a consumer and think that the consumers in this case are employees, not the actual customer?
And this is largely about the systems that your employees are using.
It's the excitement that you put into them by marketing it in a way. It's the people. It's the processes, to make the processes simple. Let's stop thinking about modules and start thinking about processes. And it's the technology. So it's not just the technology. It has to be the technology plus the change. And the change is really saying, I'm going to look at the workplace into HR instead of HR out to the workplace.
Now tell me how you make a distinction between the workplace and the workforce in 2020.
So really when you think about the workplace, the workforce is part of that. But there's a lot more than that also. The workforce is just the people. The workplace is the experience. So that includes things like culture. That includes things like online experience, like offline experiences, what we used to think of as water cooler. You know, all of those things make up the workplace experience. And it's more than just HR. It's everything tied to how does the workplace interact with tools, processes, and technologies. So when we think about Workplace 2020, which I talk about in the book quite a bit, I think Workplace 2020 is HR's opportunity at Y2K. And we remember Y2K, trillions of dollars spent. People faxed in orders just because they were worried about Y2K. I think Workplace 2020 is the same thing. I think people should be scared to death that every day another digital immigrant leaves, another digital native enters the workplace, and for the most part, we're still doing everything we did before digital natives were even born.
And I assume that part of this change is what you refer to as continuous beta.
Yeah, perpetual beta, continuous beta. And really what that's tied to is that you don't stop. Like, the world of HR technology has been such where you'd put in a module, oh, I'm done. I gained 30 pounds, got divorced maybe, done.
I've gone live.
Yeah, we're live. let's have a party. You know, that's not what this is about. Once we're live, quote unquote, that's when we actually should start using the data. So let's start thinking about how do I not just go live, but how do I every day make continuous improvements? If we think about talent management changes by the second. There's another supply and another demand. Different supply, different demand. I can't look at it once a year. I can't look at it every 6 months. I have to look at it minute by minute, just like I'm looking at the supply demand of any sort of a manufacturing type organization or system and say, what's my talent supply chain look like? And if I'm not monitoring that in a perpetual beta, continuous improvement kind of way, I have dumb, old school, once a year processes that don't work in today's world.
Well, Jason, you managed to do it. HR from now to next. I look forward to finishing it. Gotten a good start on it already. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.